Hello, everyone. So my name is Daniel Quano. I'm an associate professor of mechanical engineering. I've been here for about 10 years, a little over 10 years, and the area in which I work and study is dynamics, the study of systems in motion.
Hello, my name is Carl, a senior student in mechanical engineering.
And we have had a lot of interest in mechanical engineering here at Rose-Hulman. And one of the students have sent a question in that is pointed towards that area. They would like to know about mechanical engineering and what areas of interest or concentrations do we have in mechanical engineering.
So mechanical engineering is a very broad discipline. It's one of our selling points, I think. So, you may be interested in a variety of areas, such as robotics or aerospace or manufacturing, control of systems. And so those sorts of areas would be concentrations, for example, or minors that you can take within the NE program. So the nice thing about the NE program is that it's, again, very broad, and we provide a lot of opportunity for you to basically take a variety of classes that interest you. And we have technical electives and free electives that you have to take. And if you're interested in an area like aerospace, one of our concentrations, or say manufacturing, or you want to do a minor in robotics, you can actually take the classes for those particular areas or those particular classes that you want to take to count towards your technical electives and free electives. So if you're kind of scared, ooh, I want to do robotics, but how do I fit that in with NE? It's actually very easy. You just take the 6 classes or so for the robotics minor as part of your electives, and boom, you've got a minor as part of the NE degree program.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions here as far as the major itself. A student wants to know what type of students do you look for, or what type of a profile should a student have that is most likely to enjoy mechanical engineering as a major?
So certainly a student that has an aptitude for science, math, and all things technical is really great. I would say something that would be really good to have is someone who's a go-getter who can learn on their own, right? Independence is really great. So of course we pride ourselves on being available to help students, but there are times where you'll need to be able to help yourself. So being able to having that skill, or developing that skill over your time at Rose-Hulman would be really, really excellent.
And one thing that we want to make sure that the students are aware of is that if you have questions, please feel free to submit them in the chat room, and we will try our best to get to as many questions as possible. We have a student that wants to know, what is the hardest part about mechanical engineering?
Carl, do you want to take that as a student going through the program?
I think everyone would consider that part different. Everyone will have their own hardest part. And for me, the hardest part would be the freshman year, to really fit myself in the first hands-on experience, the first hands-on project. I was really nervous at the first time, and after that, I was better and better in my junior or senior years.
Yeah, and I definitely like to echo. So, there's sometimes a rough transition in the freshman year, switching from high school to college level work. And so, if you are having some maybe some issues transitioning, you need some assistance, we've got a variety of resources on campus that can help you with that.
Another student would like to know if we have a class or any classes in automotive engineering.
We do have some classes in automotive engineering. So 2 that come to mind. One is internal combustion engines. So if you're interested in learning about internal combustion engines, definitely take that class. Now that's an upper level course, so you have to complete some prerequisite classes first. But by your junior year or so, you'd be able to take that kind of class. And we also have a vehicle systems modeling class, which again requires some prerequisites, but by your junior year, you could take that class and learn how to use software essentially to help do that modeling of a vehicle system.
We have a lot of questions dealing with classroom and also with the different parts of mechanical engineering. One student would like to find out about how we are different from other schools. And the question is, what are some ways that Rose-Hulman's mechanical engineering program shines? Or I think a better way of saying it is, what makes us a little different from other schools?
So I'll give a faculty perspective, and then Carl, maybe you can give a student perspective as well. So I think one of the really key things about Rose-Hulman is we definitely allow the undergraduates to use the various equipment on campus. So if you were to go to other schools, bigger schools, usually, the cool equipment, if you will, like say wind tunnels and various machinery, right? That might be reserved for graduate students. So, you can look all you want, but don't touch if you're an undergraduate student. But here we really pride ourselves on giving students the opportunities to use those sorts of equipment in classes and in projects outside of class as well. Carl, what's your experience been like?
So I haven't went to other universities, especially big universities, but I'm glad to say Rose-Hulman, the professors here really take care of students. So we have about a class of 20 or 30 students per section, and our professors, they are kind of available for students to asking questions anytime they want. So as long as you have questions and you would like to ask, there would be a professor serves you better and make you better.
Excellent. That's a very good answer to that question. A student says, speaking of aerospace, what type of classes do you have that are specific to the aerospace focus?
So there is Intro to Aerospace. So that seems kind of logical. So that's required for the aerospace concentration. Let me see what the other courses are. We have a class in propulsion systems.
And element analysis.
Thank you, Carl. Finite element analysis is one of the courses you can take. There's actually a list of classes that you can go check out. If you go to the Rose-Hulman website, you look at mechanical engineering in our concentrations, go down to aerospace, and you'll see what the requirements are. It's 5 courses, and you have to take Intro to Aerospace, and then propulsion finite element analysis. Those are options that you can take, but there are a variety of other options as well. So you can kind of mix and match depending on availability and your interests.
Speaking of different interests, a student would like to know if they wanted to have a second major, was that possible with mechanical engineering?
Sure, you could do a second major. It's always a question of, well, how long do you want to be here? All right, so let's say you're coming in, maybe you don't come in with any credits, no like AP credits or college credits, and that's totally fine, by the way. If that's the case and you want to do a second major, be prepared to stay here longer than 4 years, unless you're overloading every quarter and you take summer courses, which I personally don't recommend. Now, if you are coming in with a significant number of credits, that really helps. Okay, and so everyone's situation is different. When you enroll at Rose-Hulman, you will be put with a academic advisor during your freshman year. So if you know that is something that you want to do, bring that up and work out a degree plan where it shows how you could obtain that second major with your current situation.
Thank you. We have another student that wants to know about what type of projects that mechanical engineering students have worked on.
I guess I'll start with some of the classes that I teach, and then Carl, maybe you can talk about some of the projects that you worked on as well. So I teach classes in dynamics and in structured programming. So learning how to program with if statements, for loops, and that sort of thing. I'm actually teaching both of those classes this quarter. And in the intro to programming class, we have students do 3 projects where they take the skills that they learn programming wise and do some sort of cool project associated with it. So for example, there's a robot project where you'll use the language that we learned in class to have the robot do a task in an optimal way. So it's a competition, and it's really fun to see, one, students be able to get the robot do what it needs to do, and two, how well they perform relative to the other students. So that's an example of the kinds of projects that you might do in several of your classes. Carl, what kind of projects in particular have you worked on?
There are a lot, and in the beginning, in the freshman year, the first one is to design kind of a link, in static. And in senior year, for example, my senior design is to design a wall block, which is a research type senior design instead of a project type. So we are not sure where we are going to end, and can we make something, or can we write a paper based on that. And in another of my classes, I am doing some AI stuff with mobile robotics, and we are trying to write some code to control the robot or ask the robot to drive in a room by itself without hitting anything or falling in a light, something like that.
And you'll find that if you come to Rose-Hulman, like Carl was saying, I mean, we, at every sort of level, freshman up to senior, the classes will involve, many of the classes will involve projects of some kind. We think it's a really great way for you to apply the information that you're learning.
And I've seen some of the robots in action when students have been working on projects, and it's something to behold for sure. We have a student that's interested in competitions, and they want to know, are there any competition or teams that mechanical engineering students can take part in?
Absolutely. So we have what's called the Branham Innovation Center on campus, the BIC, and the BIC houses many of the competition teams. So the teams that come to mind for mechanical engineering are Rose Grand Prix Engineering. It's Formula SAE. If you're familiar with Formula One racing, it's an open cockpit, open wheel race car competition. Basically, it's that at the college level. And I actually used to be an advisor for that. And so every year, the students will design their open cockpit, open wheel race car, and then eventually in May, they'll go and compete with that race car. And they're also judged on their design and other various aspects of their vehicle. Maybe you're in device schools. There's the human powered vehicle team, where they, again, design a vehicle each year and compete with that. And we also have design, build, fly, where you build a craft, an aircraft. And again, the students go and compete with that aircraft.
You have a lot of choices for competition teams here at Rose-Hulman, and our students are active in all of them. Here is a question for Carl. A student wants to know, why did you choose to study mechanical engineering?
So since I was a child, I'd like to play with Lego, and I'd like to build a lot of things by hand, especially something other than how it was designed. So if I bought a Lego package for a car, I may want to build an aircraft based on what I got with the parts for a car. So according to that part of the experience, I believe I should get into mechanical engineering to build more things with my hands and to be creative.
And I can attest to that. I was a Lego kid as well.
It seems like Legos is a good jumping start point for people who love working with their hands. We have a student that has a question about the freshman curriculum. And I think we talked about this a little bit previously, but we can elaborate on it just a little bit more. The student wants to know if the freshman curriculum is project-based or how much is lecture-based.
It is absolutely project-based. So a variety of your engineering classes will have projects associated with them. So for example, in your first quarter, you'll be taking what's called graphical communications. It's a CAD class, so computer-aided drafting. And as part of that class, there's a competition to design something cool, I think is what they call it. And I believe the students vote on the various designs, and the winning designs actually get their design 3D printed. So that's in your freshman fall quarter, like right off the bat. Then in the winter quarter, that's when Carl had mentioned a link design. So the class is statics and mechanics and materials. And in that class, there's a competition where you design a link that goes, say, maybe it's like a link in an aircraft landing gear system. And you want to design the link so that it's one, light, and two, it doesn't break when the landing gear retracts. So it's a fun competition. And then in the spring quarter of your freshman year, I mentioned the programming class with the robots. So that's when you would normally take that class. And so the robots are one of the projects of 3 that you do in there. But you also have Intro to Design, and so that class is just completely devoted to you doing learning about design methodology and then working on design projects. So definitely design and engineering is front and center even in your freshman year.
Yes, thank you very much. It's set up so you won't have a boring time here at the school in the classroom, definitely. And it's one of the benefits of attending Rose-Hulman. A student would like to find out what is the most important trait or quality that a mechanical engineering student should have.
Carl, do you want to take that?
I would say never give up and never be depressed. You just believe yourself, you can do it. And another sentence I would give is follow excellence, success will chase you.
It's a wonderful answer, and working hard and not giving up on the first try is always a very important trait for all of our majors. We have a student who is interested in CAD and wants to know how much CAD is used in the mechanical engineering major.
So as I mentioned, in your freshman year, you've got that CAD class. If you come in with CAD experience, we use SolidWorks, by the way. That's fantastic. Some of the follow-on classes do use CAD, and maybe for senior design, have you used CAD in senior design for your project?
I would say for introduction to manufacturing.
Okay.
So that's ME 317.
That's in the junior year.
There is another CAD class in like ME 497 by Dr. Constance.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So one thing that we're working on currently within the department is to offer like a CAD concentration. So there's some new CAD classes that have been coming out. So if you are interested in CAD and you want to get like certification, SolidWorks has various levels of certification. There's a class offered by one of our instructors, Dr. Constance, as Carl said, where you can take that class and go through the series of steps to get that sort of certification. So if you're interested in CAD and you want to come to Rose-Hulman, hopefully by next year we'll have something up and running where you can actually get a concentration in CAD.
And we will use something other than SolidWorks also. For example, in finite element analysis, we are doing ANSYS, which is another software.
Right. So in finite element analysis, there's a separate software program that uses CAD type elements, but it also allows you to do some analysis on your model.
Thank you. We have a lot of questions dealing with co-ops, internships at Rose-Hulman, and the experiences that are connected to those areas. Could we have some input or conversation about co-ops and internships for mechanical engineering students?
So maybe I'll start, and I guess I would say if you're interested in pursuing a co-op or an internship, first let me start off like what's the difference between a co-op and an internship? Sometimes that's a little confusing. So think of an internship as it's a summer experience at a company. So during the summer, you'll go work for the 2 or 3 months and gain experience with that particular company. A co-op is similar in that usually you'll be working in the summer, but it also extends into another quarter. So it's more like a 6-month-ish experience. Okay, now that does mean that you would be missing a quarter perhaps. And so we'd have to kind of work out how that would affect your degree plan, but you could certainly work that in. But same idea where you get basically an extended amount of experience at a company versus an internship. And if you're interested in an internship or co-op, we have the career fair every quarter on campus. Fall is the really big one. And then you can also talk with career services. They can help you search for opportunities for co-ops and internships. Carl, do you have any experience with an internship or co-op?
If I can talk about research.
Oh yeah, sure. Our research experiences are also kind of a nice way to get additional experience while you're here.
So we have official Rose-Hulman research programs called ASER, and that will be applied, I believe, in the spring quarter each year, and students could apply online, and they would submit their resume and kind of why they want to join the research programs. But other than that, we also have a number of good research opportunities as long as you would like to ask. So I believe each professors in mechanical engineering department would have some research programs in their hands. I mean, as long as you want to visit their office and you ask, do can I work with you in the summer or can I work with you in the culture for research? Maybe one of them will tell you yes, and then you will have a research opportunity. That's really not very hard as long as you try to find it instead of staying at the room.
Yeah, and we definitely encourage you to come see the professors. And what's the worst that can happen? They say, sorry, I don't have anything available, or something like that. So just ask.
There are a lot of opportunities for students here in mechanical engineering, both on campus and also with our relationship with various companies off campus. We have time for a couple of more questions. One question is leading towards fun time. A student wants to know, is there a space for personal projects to be worked on, or do we have an open lab for students to work on machines and or computers?
So yes, down in the KIC, the Kramer Innovation Center, we have a maker space where I believe you're able to kind of explore to your heart's content and build what you like within the bounds of the makerspace area. Carl, do you have kind of anything
Yes.
to add there?
So there are two more. One is the big, the other one is the new academic building. So as long as there is a form online and you need to find it, fill it, and send it, then it is most likely you will be approved and you will be assigned for a specific location. So I was assigned into the new academic building. So my student ID card could open that door at any time in the day, and I could work inside with the project whenever I want.
Excellent. So there are opportunities for students to work on projects of their own. We have time for a final question, and Carl, this question is coming to you. A student noticed you describing your program using AI for your senior project and wants to know, did you design the robot or did you program an existing robot?
So firstly, I need to declare there are two projects. So my senior design is for one block, and I do mobile robotics for another class. And secondly, we did have a class called mechatronics, in which we will normally take in senior year, And in that class, you will learn how to build a robot or kind of have the big idea about it. So I have to say, I did work on a built robot, but I believe and I'm 100% sure I can also build that robot based on what I learned in mechatronics.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Well, I would like to give our presenters a minute to sum up their thoughts on mechanical engineering. And we thank you all for your questions during the chat, but we'll let you all sum up your mechanical engineering knowledge. And thank you once again, students, for joining.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Again, mechanical engineering, very broad. Let's say you're interested in electrical engineering topics or computer science or bioengineering, right? You can do all that within ME, right? We offer the flexibility and basically the space for you to do that sort of thing. So if you're interested in having a degree that has broad applicability, but having the freedom to explore, a lot of your interests, I think ME is the right place for you.
Roscommon is a great place for undergraduate for education. If you are interested and you could apply. I believe you will not get disappointed by anything here.
Well, thank you all very much for your questions. Thank you both for your input and your answers to the wonderful questions that we received. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact the Office of Admissions. You can contact us by email at our admissions website or by telephone. And our telephone number can be found on the bottom of this page. Thank you so very much again for joining us. Have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to talking with you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.